2023 to order, please. All members are present. And we'll start with prayer. I'll do the prayer, and then Chairman Anderson will do the pledge. Please stand. In 1 Timothy 2, 1 through 4 teaches us to pray in authority and for authority. God, we pray that you would give our national, state, and local elected officials wisdom to lead well, to lead with righteousness, to lead with justice, to lead for the good of those whom they lead. So God, please help them and us personally and in their leadership roles to look to you and to trust in your ways over our ways forever. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is the approval of the agenda, and number 7 we won't take up.
Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Palmer.
I just wanted to know, do we need to add an update on the strategic planning workshop on old business?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other changes or additions? All in favor as amended?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is appearance of citizens. Do we have any citizens who want to come before this committee? Seeing none. First is land lease for Anderson County Rescue Squad, requested by Commissioner McCamey.
Mr. Chairman, the map that the law director sent out, you notice there's 2 parcels of property. One is between the road and the railroad, and the other one is where the Marlow Fire Department is presently. And what they're requesting is that portion between the road and the railroad. Jay, do you remember what the acreage was there? It's about 1.2 acres or something like that. But the rescue squad's wanting to build a small station there, but it won't be manned except like on weekends. And the reason they are requesting that is because of Windrock. They're making so many trips in and out of Windrock that they would be there and could get there a lot quicker
Right.
if they had that little substation there. I don't think it's going to have a restroom or anything like that. It'd just be a place where they keep equipment, and then on the weekend they'll have somebody there.
So just like a storage shed?
Yeah, more or less like Marlowe's doing out here on Sulphur Springs. They're building a little substation there, but it's not going to be a bathroom or anything like that in there. But it just mostly be an equipment shed, and
Right.
they'll be there in their vehicles, you know, back and forth on the weekends.
Right.
We've had that piece of property there forever. Jay, is that in the county's name, or is that still in the Board of Education? Okay, so it would need Board of Education approval.
Yes, it's approved over here tonight. I'll tell Mr. Chair that I go across the street tonight. I don't think that has a problem. They had no problem with Marlowe.
Yeah. So they've never, the school department's never declared it surplus or anything, or that it will revert back to the county. Okay. But I'll make that in the form of a motion that we allow them to do that pending school board approval.
Second.
Got a motion second by Commissioner Mays. Any discussion?
I have just a question. Is this a lease?
Yeah, it'd be a lease.
What's the term?
I don't know, like we did with the fire
10
department.
with an option for another 10?
Yeah, something like that.
Any other discussion, comments? So this is for a 10-year lease with option for another 10.
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Next is the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just put on here just a suggestion with possible action, if you all so choose. For many years, well, actually, county commission meetings used to be called the quarterly meeting. So Commissioner McCamey, were you on when they were quarterly meetings?
Oh, yeah.
So it was the quarterly court. And many of those meetings were day meetings. If you go look at the old minutes, you'll see many times the commissioners during long debates would take a break for lunch, come back. That's all reflected in the minutes. I don't recall when we went to all evening meetings, but I will say that I think there was benefit in having day meetings, at least quarterly, because you do bring in a lot of your county personnel, the departments, people are here participating. And I thought about this because as operations meeting was coming around, I was trying to think about the things that we've discussed in prior meetings, and Commissioner Mays had brought up the idea of getting out and visiting some of our facilities and seeing firsthand, you know, what the buildings look like, what the operations look like. And that got me thinking back on a lot of times after a day meeting, the parks would have a fish fry, and we would go out and see what the parks look like, or we would go over to the highway superintendent's garage and see what they were doing there. And it was really camaraderie as well for the commissioners with the departments, because, you know, when you're standing with them on their turf, so to speak, and breaking bread, I mean, there's something to be said for that. And so I just thought I would put this back on here again. And I know some folks have said, well, you know, that's not always ideal for citizens, for instance, who may be working. Well, some citizens also work night shift and can't, you know, they may go on shift at 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. And so, you know, just having an evening meeting isn't also, it's not about, you know, applying to all citizens, because people work different schedules. But it's just an idea, and I just thought I would bring it as an idea.
You know, I remember when I first came on commission, that's what we did. And some of the big topics we would try to save until that day meeting, because we'd be fresh, have all day, and, you know, time to go over it. And during the budget cycle, most of those was taken care
Yes.
of during the day. And then we did go and visit and see what all the different aspects of the county. We went to all the different fee offices and things like that. And there was always a packed house, because the people that worked during the day had an opportunity to come and even come before a commission. So even being a business owner, you know, it takes a day away from that, but I'd still support this, because it gives everybody else an opportunity, that the people that do work, you know, second shift, and to come and be around the leaders of the county.
Mr. Chairman, do you
Commissioner Paul.
remember why they went to just evening meetings? Do y'all remember why or that happened?
Well, we actually changed. We used to just meet once every quarter. That's why they called it the quarterly court.
Okay.
Back then, we were either squire or justice of the peace, not county commission. And a majority of the members of the county commission worked for DOE. And DOE made it a paid holiday for them if they chose to participate. DOE would pay them, and they would get the day off. And they only had to stay until after 12:01, and they got paid for the whole day. So that's why we'd go to lunch and always come back sometimes just to adjourn. But that was one of the reasons. Most of them did work for DOE, and it was a day off for them. But we still met quarterly, even though we started meeting monthly. We still met the quarterly meeting during the day, which is the way it was when we just met quarterly.
But we're not suggesting just quarterly. We're
No, it
monthly,
wouldn't
but
be
just-
quarterly, just a daytime at our quarterly meeting, which
Gotcha.
will be, what, July, October?
Those 4
January,
months.
April, July, and October, and all other meetings would still be the evening meetings.
Okay.
And it does give some to people who work evenings and night shift the opportunity to come before us, you know, during the day. And a lot of non-working mothers can attend because their kids are in school, you know, so they can attend also. I supported, Commissioner Creasy brought it up just about every year, wanting us to go back to our quarterly meetings. He always wanted to have those quarterly meetings during the day, so.
And there probably are some cost savings as well, because if you look at, you know, some department heads are exempt, so they're here without additional cost other than their time, obviously. But there are some people here that are earning additional time. They've already been here all day, and then they're earning. So for instance, the IT, a lot of the IT department that is here. So you would see cost savings from that, time savings for those 4 meetings.
I like the idea. It's a great idea to really get in touch with people, you know, where they work at, see how they do things, ask questions. They can ask us questions and concerns. So I think it's a good idea.
I think you'll see excitement too. I mean, when you all are coming after hours, so you're, you know, you just on that full commission, everybody's exited the building. It's a different excitement when you come in here. It's a different level of excitement with all the employees. The bosses are in town, so to speak.
Yeah, and you know, with the lunches, the Liberty School Board did lunch.
Yes.
Motor pool did lunch once, you know, and there's always something like that, but there's always time to get to know people better.
How would that affect with the court that's held here? Do they hold court on the third Monday on commission days?
I would have to check on that, so I know if things are noticed in advance, they can make arrangements to be in another location. So if it's child support court, for instance, I mean, sometimes Magistrate Clark has used 118A or used one of the other courtrooms, you know, just based on scheduling.
I don't mind this, but I don't work, which is a big help. But for the people who work, they might have to take off these days, and that'd be an inconvenience and they'd lose maybe 4 vacation day kind of thing. So personally, I'm fine with it. But I hope if this passes in full commission, we can have a discussion with people who will have to make arrangements with their lives to do this. But I'm fine. I'm with the idea, but that's just a concern.
Well, if it passes here, let's say, you know, all the commissioners weigh in on it.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I was going to say, Mr. Chairman, I would like to move forward to full commission for approval adding the quarterly meetings to be held in January, April, July, and October, beginning at 9:30 with the public hearing portion starting at 9.
A motion, we got a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Then under old business, Commissioner Fong.
Yes, so if you guys would mark October the 26th and 27th, if you could just kind of maybe pencil that in.
What'd you say?
October the 26th and 27th, that's a Thursday and Friday, just trying to protect those. Most everyone got back with me from that email, and that was the one weekend that everyone seemed to have available. As far as I know, no one had a conflict with those dates. It may be a Thursday evening and all day Friday. It's really going to be, that's going to be determined by the facilitator. We've not gotten a facilitator yet. We have 4 names making inquiries of all 4 of them. There's one in particular that has some experience, has a lot of experience doing what we're talking about doing. So I'm waiting to hear back from them, but obviously the facilitator is going to say how much time is needed to go through the exercises or whatever. So that's why I just requested that Thursday and Friday, if you could just protect those dates. But I'm trying to, finalize that. Some other people are giving input as well, other commissioners. So that's still a work in progress, getting the facilitator, but making good headway. And also the venue, a couple of county places, we thought about maybe the health department. We're waiting to see if that's going to be available on those dates. So still inquiries out there, but nothing really shored up yet or finalized. So except for the date, if that works for everyone. If it doesn't, let us know. But I did want to get that date out there early.
Okay. Any comments? What about new business? We have any new business to take up? Seeing none, Mr. Barron.
Have you heard about this program that the tourism board's buying?
Oh,
It's called Placer.
in conjunction with the Oak Ridge tourism,
They're gonna
they're going to share.
track people in the county and everything like that.
It gives you more of a who's coming in and staying at the motels for tourism versus who's just coming in and spending the night because they're on the road, or if it's somebody that's from a company that's spending the night. It's supposed to direct that.
Am I the only one that feels kind of like Big Brother watching, tracking people in the county, I mean, to me, it looks bad, government would track people, Now, tourism is kind of separate, but it's still county. So, I mean,
When the proposal that Ms. Wells put out was very interesting, and made it look like that we could really narrow down, and it would give more emphasis because of what it does is where more money should be spent, in which direction.
yeah.
Because a lot of things are just speculated.
Well, I can understand that, as I told somebody else earlier today, as a private businessman, I wouldn't think twice about it. But as part of county government, I don't know that our citizens would appreciate it, I mean, that's just my feelings on it. I don't know what anybody else thinks about it, but whenever you're tracking people coming and going and everything, we know it all happens on your phones and stuff like that. But, for the government to be involved with it seems kind of sketchy to me.
Well, my question that I hadn't got answered yet is how are they doing that?
And how detailed
Yeah.
the information is.
There's like 500 different applications for your phone that feeds this company information of where you are at any particular time. That's where they get it.
So they're already doing it. This
Yeah,
is
I
just-
mean, if you got Google Maps, this company's probably already collecting data. But what I'm saying is, should the county be involved in that?
If it's not personalized, I really have no problem with something like that. But I understand what you're saying.
So, but like if we're aggregating personal information that could get hacked or
Sure,
something,
yeah.
that would be a.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't, it doesn't sound like we're even getting that. It's going off to the other place.
I'd hate to have that as a open records request. If that's a publicly available thing, if someone wants to track a spouse or something like that, that's where I agree with you on some of this.
Do you know if it's just the metadata data?
I haven't gotten the details of the data per se, how it's collected or what exactly are they tracking, you know?
Yeah.
How they include people they consider tourists. Is that anybody with a phone number outside our county, or 423 or something like that? I don't know. But these people that are doing the tracking and everything, they can give you all sorts of data, you know?
That's the scary part there.
You know,
Yeah.
and here we are, the county, and we're gonna be paying people to do that,
Yeah.
you know?
Has it already been purchased, the program?
I don't know.
It was approved. I don't think it's been purchased. And we can definitely put it on operations for next month when Ms. Wells gets back from vacation. Because that, you know, even on, at the meeting, I want to know, how do they do that? And nobody was there that could
Yeah.
answer that question. And I think we should know how, you know, how are they going to come up with these numbers?
Yeah. And is there a way how we can turn that off for our particular, like, county phones and stuff like that, you know, or should we, you know? I asked Brian about it last week, you know, the IT guy, and he hasn't gotten back to me on it yet, but he said he'd look into it.
So this is an app, sound like it's similar to TikTok, where they're aggregating and collecting data that you're really not aware of what's being collected.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Like TikTok might be one of the apps that feeds this company data, you know, or it might be like Google Maps, or it might be
I guess.
Angry Birds or something,
Yeah.
you know. There's like 500 different apps, they say, that
Oh.
are collecting your location data.
So they are like aggregates. They just collect stuff and, yes,
Yeah.
they just get it from.
It's an
everything
AI program.
collected. Yeah.
They've got access to the metadata, and then this AI program sorts out for your location,
Yeah.
where people are going and how long they're spending there, or, you know, I read one article that said, like, you know, I can tell you how many people's been in that store for the past 4 months, you know, that sort of thing.
And that was one of the answers to my question, is they're already collecting this data. We're just going to pay for it, or the tourism bureaus are going to pay for it so they can get the data. So it's already there. But it just makes us privy to, or I'm not saying us, but the tourism bureau.
Well, I agree with the commissioner, the idea that the county is, you know, collecting data like that. I would have a problem with that myself.
And exactly why was tourism wanting that information? To help them know how to spend tourism dollars?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what their main focus should be, who's actually staying at the motels, you know, what they're doing. Is it business? Is it people that's just traveling through, or are they here for, you know, tourism purposes? But we could, you know, as a body, we can definitely ask Ms. Wells to come next month and give her time to prepare for it. Give us some questions. I mean, answers to the questions.
The problem with some of these programs is they may ask you for your name and email address. And then they collect your name, your address, your email address, and how tall you are. Okay, and then they collect your location. So they just gradually collect more and more about you. And that's a problem. You don't mind giving your name and phone number maybe, but when they start adding things to it as you begin to use the app, you start putting things that really do identify you clearly as a person. And that's what I really, you know, like to keep private. I don't mind certain things, but not everything. Shoe size, and, you know, when you go on the internet now, you may search for a shirt, and pretty soon you see shirt ads everywhere. That's a problem with me when you do that. Just too much data is being collected about individuals, and the county should not use that business to collect data on individuals like that.
Commissioner Barron, would you like to put that on operations for next month for to come in and speak about it, answer some questions?
Well, yeah, sure. You know, I mean, I was just trying to get some feedback, see what everybody else thought about it, you know. I mean, I don't necessarily want to throw a bucket of water on the fire there, but I mean, you know, at the same time, it does give me some qualms, you know. And like I say, I think our citizens would have qualms if they found out about it, you know.
Well, you're the representative of the people in your district and of all of Anderson County. And if you feel there's a need for something that's needs to be looked into, that's...
Well, we could look into it, you know, like I say, I've been asking questions, I haven't gotten answers back yet, but, you know, maybe we should even ask for public opinion on it, you know. I mean,
What's the name of the app, Mr. Commissioner? You know the name of the app?
Placer, P-L-A-C-E-R.
Placer.
Placer, A-I.
Placer AI.
Is that what someone was saying? It's in the name, so it probably is.
Does that name not come up in some of these cookie things, you know, it comes up if you accept, and Placer comes up inside of that, I think. I'll reach out to Ms. Wells and see what information she can give us for next month.
yeah, well, you know, her computer's not gonna be linked to the county computer, so there's no worry about anything coming back in on the county computers, but other than that, like I say, you know, and the county itself is not operating it, not collecting this data, so to speak, and everything, but tourism is kind of part of the county, and, you know, like I said, I just think a lot of citizens would have problems with knowing that their county government is tracking their movements, you know.
Kind of like our national government. Yeah.
Yeah. Usually the TikTok situation for me, very similar.
I mean, if we don't use it, we're kind of handcuffing ourselves to the old ways. But if we do use it, then, like I say, we might, and people get outraged over it or something like that, then we've got egg on our face.
I used to put in some equipment for Levi Strauss & Company. It's called Real Time. And it was, everything they did was based on production. So it gave out, and Commissioner Vandergriff would sharing this, you know, it's real important to have that exact data. And unfortunately, every time I put that into a plant, they close the plant down. So, yeah, but, you know, it just happened that way. But anyway, I think that's what it's real tourism. Yeah. So we'll get her to come next month. Anything else? Mayor, you got anything else?
No, sir.
Jay, you got anything?
No, sir, I'm not.
Commissioner Vandergriff, you got anything? Okay.
Just think really hard about a product and see how many ads you get for it by the time you get downstairs.
That's true. Think about it.
Yeah, that's what's scary. You just think about it. Seeing that, we'll call this adjourned, and it's a record. 28 minutes.